Now, Cancer, that's your energy. All right. But, you loan your energy to the chariot rather. And the underlying energy is the Seven of Pentacles. Focus on the present is one of the biggest messages I can ever emphasize, because there's such, greatness coming, and because of you, by the way, not because of anything else. I mean, of course, the universe does has its hand in making miracles happen, but you are, understanding that you are the miracle that make the miracles happen is the part that is the hardest for people to understand, hardest for people to grasp, hardest for people to truly accept. Because honestly, right, it's hard to be in a society where thinking of yourself as great, as amazing, as awesome is frowned upon, right? To see yourself in the greatest, in the magnitude that you are, is usually like, oh, you're just arrogant, or you're overconfident, and then people wish for your ego and stuff to get knocked down. But what people don't understand is that the ego, like boasting about how great you are, that's not included in that. That's not really knowing who your potential is all about. Is understanding and being aware of your potential, being humble about it. And what does that humbleness mean? That means that, you are appreciative of yourself for being that great. You're loving of yourself for being that great. You're not trying to show off and prove to other people how amazing you are. That doesn't really show true confidence. What shows true confidence is showing yourself love and respect and putting boundaries and care to yourself regarding that. I know, but I totally went on a different tangent about that for a second, but I feel like it was needed, considering that we've got a lot of stuff in here that really talks about comfort zones and confidence. All right. So jumping into this, we're going to go ahead and start with the mindset of both parties. Okay, this side here is Cancer. This is how I typically read my readings for my clients on Instant Go. That book, the Soulmate Investigation reading, which you guys can have of your own if you guys want to. It's in the description box. It doesn't have to be this way, considering that this is a YouTube reading. So this side could be you too, Cancer, depending on which side resonates with you. You have to pick and trust your intuition with that one. But this person over here, we're going to start with this side here. This is you, Cancer, or perhaps the other person. They're holding on and holding back, and they're clinging on to some sort of comfort zone. Of course, there's a lot of changes that are going on around them, and I think that honestly, the only sense of control that everybody feels is obviously the sense of control of the self. And I think this person may be holding back, keeping things to themselves, not expressing, not doing anything that involves stepping outside of this fortress that they've put up. Now, the fortress does remind them of how weak and fragile they are, but that's the thing, right? Weak and fragile because they make themselves this way. And it's not a blame. It's not saying this person is weak and fragile. They're actually stronger than this. They're holding the pentacles up to make this fortress. That shows them that they are stronger than they allow themselves to be. So this situation is because they have this mindset because there's things that, frighten them. They don't want to lose everything that they've obtained, of course, right? They work so hard for these pentacles. Pentacles take a long time to manifest. Pentacles are the symbolic other signs that basically indicate long time, long processes, long everything, right? Longevity, things standing the test of time. It takes a while for things to manifest when it comes to Pentacles. Why? Because Pentacles is reality, right? When you want to create a house, it just happened overnight. You can dream of it, that happens in an instant, and that's where it all comes from, the emotions. But really, to make a house, to create a house, a physical house, one that you can live in, that takes some time. So think about it like when you see Pentacles, think of it as building a house or having a child, right? You can't just pop out a baby the second you conceive. You gotta wait 9 months, so you gotta wait 10. You gotta wait some time, and that is really what the Pentacles emphasizes: time and space to create something in the 3D, right? So this person has created some sort of comfort zone, either in their mind or in their environment. Whatever they're holding on to, they're not necessarily exactly too ecstatic to leave this environment, leave this place, because this is where they feel like they have some sort of ground, where they have where they make sense, where everything seems the most stable. The other person is very similar to that, and I think it's funny that both parties are coming at this situation. They're coming at the situation as this fortress, as this comfort zone. So both parties find this relationship as a comfort zone. One person looking to stay in it as long as they can, because honestly, it's like a mixture of desperation. It can be a mixture of desperation and fear. At the same time, it can be, just the desperate, not desperation, but it could be like just not ready to kind of take that leap of faith and see what else is out there, or at least to explore, to expand, to move forward, because you can't expand this way. When you have the Four of Pentacles, this person's not looking to expand, not looking to do anything, because this is like they're afraid that if they do expand, all this progress, all this work will be undone, right? Everything that they've done to get to a place where they can be like, is gone. And that is something that this is hard for them to do. Not impossible, but hard for them to release. Now this person here, it's a little different. I feel like this person here, yes, they see this as a comfort zone. This is their safe space. I feel like as well that this person, when they think about this relationship, there's a lot of things that come up. Not just that this is a safe space they could definitely feel comfortable in, but they may feel bored. They may feel like they aren't really appreciated, right? They're given things and lavish things and bribed to stay in a relationship or stay in a situation, but not really truly seen emotionally, right? There's a lot of emotional lack in this situation, right? There's all pentacles, no cups, no fire. There's all pentacles. Like, okay, there's just a lot of stuff that that's surrounding me, that's showing me that I'm stable here, right? But I'm not getting much of anything out of this. These are just materials. These are just things. I want to feel something. I feel like this person is like wanting to feel something, want to experience something, and they're not getting that experience in this relationship, because I think this person, on the other hand, is trying to keep things stable, trying to keep things from collapsing when they don't have to. And I feel like this person is struggling with that, because look what they got going on in the eight in their body, where they're showing is the Eight of Swords. They're showing that they are lost in the sauce, unsure what to do, holding on because they have no clue what is going on, why is happening, or what could happen. They're afraid of taking the step forward and truly trusting their intuition. Why? Because they're afraid of getting cut. They're afraid of getting injured. They're afraid of getting losing everything that they've got, right? And most importantly, they're just not sure of how things are going to pan out. They feel trapped in their situation. They feel like they have no real options, but it's only because they're so focused on their mind part, right? They're holding on mentally, so therefore their body is seasoned up too. Because they're not expanding and not opening up, they feel trapped body-wise. Their bodies are not making any sort of movement. They're stagnant. And it's because their minds are keeping them in a place where they truly feel comfortable, but not truly in a place of prosperity, right? They can't prosper. They can't grow. They can't do anything. So they're stiff. They're stuck. And it's because, like I said, it's because they truly, I think it has a lot to do with happiness. It has to do with what they want to feel. It has to do with their heart's desire, right? They want to be happy, but they don't know how to be happy without leaving everything behind. They don't know how to do X, Y, and Z without compromising their comfort zone, right? And that's the thing. They just have to take that leap of faith. They're going to have to leave this Four of Pentacles. You can't have both. It's like the Two of Swords situation. I'm surprised they didn't come up in here, but that's the situation. And why, right? Because the Seven of Pentacles and the underlying energy. That talks about how much work there was put into this relationship, how much work was put into developing this person's security and stability. They're not necessarily excited or too thrilled about putting this to, just like traveling and doing something different, or stepping outside of the comfort zone. Whether this is embracing a relationship or, letting go of one. They're having a hard time, finding happiness elsewhere, because they are, maybe they're too focused on the present. Maybe they're too afraid of the future and afraid of backlash. But the thing is that they're doing this because they want to feel happy. They want to feel content. They want to be okay, right? They want to be fine. They want to be happy. but they've come so far, it's hard for them to just like let this go so they can have a happy life ever after. Because honestly, this person, I don't think this is happy here. I don't think this person's happy here. They just know this is familiar and reliable, but they're not happy here. What they want is happiness, but this is not giving them the happiness. This is just giving them security. And that's the thing. It's hard for them to break free from that. And the reason why they can't break free, they feel like they can't, is because they believe they can't control the outcome. They can't control what comes after this. They can't control what happens to them if they let go of their comfort zone. Now, the other person, on the other hand, I feel like is waiting. All right, this person is waiting on something to return to them. Now, it's very interesting that this card would come up because I feel like whatever they were doing, whatever they were sending out, they're waiting on a response on. They're looking for some sort of sign, it almost looks like, to kind of kickstart and move forward. But this person here is like bored out of their mind. You know, they're confident in regards to handling their own situation, I feel. But they're, in the sense, they're waiting for something. But they're also doing some small work in the meantime. They're waiting for a sign, waiting for something. But in the meantime, they're overcoming a lot of difficulties. They're releasing a lot of not mindsets, but a lot of, past thoughts, past beliefs. They're making space for new life. When death comes up, they're making space for new life. That's why this person is, waiting. This person is, knows what to expect. This person is holding out hope for, not hope, but space for something new, for new life. But they're cleansing the area. It's very interesting. This person stopped up and kind of congested over here. This person is like trying to let it flow. It's all bulky, but they're letting it flow. And it's a hard thing to do with death. When death comes up, it talks about time being put into release. It talks about the effort of what you're releasing. It's difficult energy. Death is not easy. But this person is not interested in staying in a place where there's no prosperity. I think they're ready for change. They're ready for something new to come in. And even though that they've worked so hard for this, I think they're willing to continue to, I think they're willing to keep going, or they're willing to put more work if necessary into what they, into what they are invested in, into their own happiness, into their own stability, because, they want some growth. They want movement. They want progression. Right now, there is no progression. Right now, there's not much going on for them other than this is just a utopia and everything's all, nice and lovely, but I'm not getting anything emotionally out of this. You know what I'm saying? So what brought you two together was the Four of Swords. So a time of rest, of healing, reflection. This talks about a pause as well. I think what brought you two together was that there was a time of healing that it was both needed from both of you, or there was a place where you guys had to really reconnect with the self. Some of you guys may have connected during a period of a distance. Maybe you guys reconnected after a time of pause between you and the other person. But with the challenges that you guys face is the Chariot, and that means moving forward, right? So you guys got together during a time of rest, during a time of pause, during a time of nothing happening, and now the challenge is getting things moving forward, and forward in a way where you guys can feel like you guys are victorious. And taking control of your own selves, right? Taking control of putting in willpower into your relationship, making progress mostly. And that's hard, right? But considering that, if you guys just came back from a period of time where you needed to heal from some sort of situation, and now you're just like, okay, let's move forward, but you're afraid of taking that risk, it can be seriously daunting. It doesn't mean that you can't overcome that challenge, though. It's a challenge because there's a solution to it. There's an avenue that you can go down with it. Several avenues. It just depends on what avenue you go down. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna keep these two. You guys have co-create and regeneration. Okay. So this definitely talks about a period of when you guys definitely came back from the past, if that makes sense, or not necessarily. Like regeneration talks about something that was destroyed completely, like devastatingly. It can be devastating. It can be just complete regeneration, complete destruction. Something raises back up from the dead. It's very judgment like, right? Something is done, so put out or done, just wrapped up. But then there is resurrection. But even though things can look like it's devastating, you see that tree growing after the magma is like melting away, or running away. Like, there's this energy here that I feel is like giving birth to something new. It's giving birth. And everybody here is like a little infant all over again, in the sense of like growing and moving forward, right? Period. And it's funny that infants are coming up at all in this thing, as far as me using it as an example, because you have co-create. So, wow. Just, I know I feel like I'm all over the place, but the thing is, it's like, I'm not. It's really big. Everything that's coming up here, regeneration, things coming back up from the past, or things coming back around again, second chances, second time around, right? Doing something over, but taking the opportunity, or taking the liberty that you have right now to bring life back to a situation that you thought, or that was perceived to be no longer. It's very judgment-like energy. And then you have co-create, talks about taking the power in your hands, taking control, and creating what exactly it is that you want, creating the happiness that you want, creating the stability that you want, feeling in control, but also prospering as well. You know what I mean? It's a really big message. I'm going to actually take a look at regeneration really fast. Yeah, rebirth, second chances, new opportunities. Co-creation is like, you are the creator of these new opportunities, though. That's what I was talking about earlier. I think that's why it came out, because I didn't really understand why I was talking about arrogance and stuff like that. It's about realizing the powerful person that you are to recreate a situation and have this opportunity to do something different, right? To take the second chance that you have created. You made this miracle possible. Recognize the miracle that you've made possible. It's hard to do. And I'm not saying it's like, oh my God, just do it already. Like, snap your fingers and let's go. It's going to take time, and it's going to take you to get out of your own way for you to realize how amazing that you kind of are, right? You have to realize that you've put yourself in a position to have a new beginning. You've put yourself in a situation to begin to create again, to create a new future, to create happiness, to create whatever you want to create within this relationship. The soulmate relationship is showing you exactly what doors you have opened. And it may feel like you don't have any choices, or maybe feeling like you feel stuck in a situation, but you aren't. You really aren't. And the reason why you're not is because you have created doors. You created a new door to walk through. You created something, and created a new opportunity. And it may feel like it's scary because you've been down that road before, and it's a second chance. It's a new opportunity with a situation that you've been through before, but you'll have the power to do something differently, to create a different outcome. And it starts with you believing that you can create a different outcome in order for there to be a different one. So be in the present. Focus on what's happening now. Don't worry about what happens in the future. Just recognize that you have a new opportunity, and take the steps that you are led to take. Take the steps that you believe that regarding your boundaries, regarding your belief system, regarding your love for yourself. Take the steps necessary, right? Take the steps according to what your heart's telling you. Because there's no better guidance system. There's no better, source of light than your own.